Good evening. You are watching News Mongolia on MNB World. I'm your host, Ulaanbaatar. And for our top stories for today. The Embassy of the Republic of Poland opens in Ulaanbaatar. Mongolia and the Republic of Poland signed new cooperation documents. Mongolian-Polish Business Forum held on April 25th. For other news, stay tuned. Mongolia and the Republic of Poland signed several important documents on relations and cooperation during the state visit of President Andrzej Duda and the First Lady Agata Kornhauser-Duda from 24th through the 26th at the invitation of Mongolian President Mr. Kursuk and First Lady Bolortsuk.
The agreements include an agreement on international road transport relations signed by Minister of Road and Transport Development Bientuk, representing Mongolia, and Ambassador Krzysztof Boyko on behalf of Poland. A performance agreement was signed between the National Geological Service of Mongolia, the Polish Geological Institute, and the National Geological Service on implementing a project to study molybdenum and tungsten deposits at Ulaanbaatar and Zatrapotluk. The agreement was signed by Oyong, acting head of the National Geological Service of Mongolia, and Andrzej Guszynski, deputy head of the Polish Geological Institute. In addition, an MOU on cooperation in veterinary medicine was signed by Altensuch, acting head of the General Authority for Veterinary Medicine of Mongolia, and Ambassador Plenipotentiary Krzysztof Boyko on behalf of the General Department of Veterinary Medicine of Poland. An MOU was also signed between the General Authority for Archives of Mongolia and the Office of State Archives of Poland. The MOU was signed by Ulaanbaatar, head of the General Authority for Archives, and Paweł Pietrzyk, Director General of the Office of State Archives. In addition, an important cooperation agreement between the Mongolian Academy of Sciences and Warsaw University was signed by President of the Mongolian Academy of Sciences, Richtl, and Ambassador Krzysztof Boyko. Officials say these agreements and MOUs highlight the commitment of both countries to strengthening their relations and promoting cooperation in various fields. They are expected to pave the way for further collaboration between the countries and contribute to mutual benefit and prosperity.
The Mongolian-Polish Business Forum was successfully held at the Shangri-La Hotel on April 25th as a part of the President of the Republic of Poland, Mr. Andrzej Duda's official visit to Mongolia. The event was organized by the Mongolian National Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Polish Investment and Trade Agency, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Mongolia, and the Embassy of Poland in Mongolia.
The forum's opening ceremony was attended by President Duda and Mongolian President Hursokna, who highlighted the increasing activation of relations between the two countries' governments, parliaments, state institutions, citizens, entrepreneurs, and companies. They also emphasized the significant growth in trade turnover between Mongolia and Poland, which has reached about $100 million, a twofold increase over the past 3 years. The forum was attended by 20 companies from Poland representing sectors such as milk and dairy products, meat and meat products, healthcare, medical equipment, information technology, energy, construction and tourism. They were joined by nearly 300 Mongolian entrepreneurs and enterprises, primarily from the food and agriculture sectors, which has the largest engagement in cooperation between the two countries. During the head of the Mongolian National Chamber of Commerce and Industry highlighted the need of immediate measures to increase household income and create jobs for Mongolians by exporting non-mining products. He specified that meat, wool, cashmere products and nuts have the greatest potential for export. Mongolia's economy is heavily reliant on mining, with China being the sole buyer. However, the COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted the risk of having an economy that is overly dependent on just one country and the need to develop direct export routes. It has become clear that Mongolia should export opportunities in developed Western markets. Non-mining products hold significant near-term potential for increasing the average household income and employment in Mongolia. Meat, cashmere and pine nuts are among the main non-mining export products. Currently, these products are exported to China as raw materials, and China processes and sells them to the American and European markets at a high price. This means China is reaping the profits, while Mongolia is merely a supplier of raw materials. To change this situation, Mongolia should aim to develop and produce its own products for developed markets, adding value to these products and capturing more financial rewards. Two key things are necessary to achieve this: financing for exports and value-added processing in Mongolia that meet American and European standards. The European market, including Poland as a main gateway to Europe, represents a significant export market for Mongolian wool, cashmere products and pine nuts. As such, the importance of this forum cannot be overstated in terms of furthering trade and business cooperation between the two countries and realizing the potential of Mongolian non-mining products in the European market. A three-point memorandum of understanding was drawn up as part of the forum with a notable focus on transit facilitation. The forum also included presentations and information sharing on the Mongolian and Polish business environments, trade opportunities, transport logistics, agricultural export and import, joint production, investment opportunities, and banking. The Mongolian National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Polish Investment and Trade Agency, and the Polish Chamber of Commerce signed a memorandum of cooperation, paving the way for further collaboration in trade, production, and business between Mongolian and Polish companies.
Yes, it's I think, lot of possibilities. One of the first possibilities is our agriculture sector, where we have very high level with our agriculture. We have here a few companies where we have a very strong position. For example, is possibly using our activities because you see, for example, in white meat, we have one of the first position in the world. We have very good position with lamb meat. Yes. In Poland, lamb meat is very expensive. Yes, in your country, in Mongolia, white meat is expensive. I think it's possible using. Yes, we have absolutely one of the highest level with Polish equipment to agriculture area. I think another area it is possible to increase activities in the production. In Poland, we have one of the biggest position in the world in factory production of part of cars. We have now one of the first place in Europe connected with production electric battery. Yes.
The forum also highlighted existing trade relations between the countries. In 2022, Mongolia exported $599,000 in packaged medicine, sewn and knit clothes, and other goods to Poland. Poland exported just under $100 million in apples, pears, and canned vegetables to Mongolia last year. Mongolia also has growing demand for Polish fruit, nuts, chocolate, cocoa, pharmaceuticals, beverages, and pork. The forum concluded with promising prospects for increased trade, production, and business partnership between Mongolia and Poland, and a shared commitment to strengthening bilateral ties.
Please take a look at the current affairs of Mongolia.
On Tuesday, April 25th, the Prime Minister of Mongolia, Oyerton, paid a courtesy call to the President of the Republic of Poland, Andrzej Duda. They discussed relations and cooperation between the two countries and agreed to intensify economic cooperation. During the meeting, it was highlighted that trade turnover between the two countries reached a record high of $100 million in 2022, doubling over the last 3 years. They emphasized the need to enrich relations and cooperation between Mongolia and Poland with economic ties and to meet long and medium-term development goals. The parties also discussed the joint implementation of a large export and development support project to enhance economic cooperation between the two countries. During the President of Poland's state visit to Mongolia on Tuesday, an opening ceremony was held for the Embassy of the Republic of Poland in Ulaanbaatar. Mongolia and Poland established diplomatic relations on April 14, 1950. Poland opened an embassy in Ulaanbaatar for the first time in 1960, but closed it in September 1995 due to financial difficulties. The embassy returned to operations in Ulaanbaatar in 1999, closing in 2009. Since 2015, an ambassador in Warsaw has been appointed to oversee Mongolian relations. The Polish government decided to reopen its embassy in Ulaanbaatar on January 15, 2021. The parties agreed to establish a consular department at the embassy in Ulaanbaatar in 2024. Currently, Polish visas are issued to Mongolian citizens by the Embassy of the Czech Republic and the consular department of the Polish embassy in Beijing. The Embassy of Mongolia has been continuously operating in Warsaw since 1959.
Please take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by the Central Bank of Mongolia. Now here comes foreign news partnered with international news agencies. U.S. President Joe Biden formally announced on Tuesday he is running for re-election in 2024. The Democratic president is asking voters to give him more time to finish the job. He began when he was sworn into office and set aside their concerns about extending the run of America's oldest president for another 4 years.
Biden would be 86 at the end of a second term. Biden is betting his first-term legislative achievements and 50-plus years of experience in Washington will count for more with voters. Biden faces a smooth path to winning his party's nomination, but a hard-fought struggle to retain the presidency in a bitterly divided nation. The announcement in a 3-minute video comes on the 4-year anniversary of when Biden declared for the White House in 2019, promising to heal the soul of the nation amid the turbulent presidency of Donald Trump, a goal that has remained elusive.
The question we're facing is whether in the years ahead.
Meanwhile, the United Nations Refugee Agency on Tuesday warned of further displacement of people from Sudan after thousands streamed into neighboring Chad and South Sudan.
It said at least 20,000 refugees from Sudan had arrived in Chad and some 4,000 South Sudanese refugees who had been living in Sudan had returned to their home country, but cautioned that those figures could rise. Addressing a United Nations briefing in Geneva, Olga Sarrado said UNHCR was scaling up its operations as the fighting in the African nation looked likely to force more people to leave for safer grounds.
Some of the population movements we expect to observe in the coming days include outflows of new Sudanese refugees to neighboring countries, returns of refugees who are being hosted by Sudan, and movements of other refugees being hosted by Sudan to other neighboring countries. UNHCR is working closely with partners and governments in the regions to assess the needs of the newly arrived and prepare a joint response. The humanitarian impact of this crisis will be harsh. Before this crisis, Sudan hosted more than 1 million refugees and 3.7 million were internally displaced. Assistance programs that were already overstretched are now severely hampered. All UNHCR operations in Sudan's neighboring countries impacted by this new emergency already have existing large refugee and IDP populations and are also severely underfunded. Urgent support is needed to ensure timely assistance is provided to those fleeing hostilities.
United Nations Refugee Agency says over 800,000 South Sudanese refugees live in Sudan, a quarter of whom are in Khartoum and directly affected by the fighting. The agency's chief in South Sudan said that her team was planning for the most likely scenario of 125,000 people who fled the fighting in South Sudan returning to that country and another 45,000 refugees joining them.
Please take a look at the weather forecast for the world's major cities. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for staying tuned. We'll see you next time with more news and updates. Have a good day.